He's degrading them. I don't think that we'll ever destroy this organization.
Many people would argue that the US actually saw the rise of ISIL coming and turned a blind eye, or even encouraged it as a counterpoint to Assad. And a secret analysis by the agency you ran, the Defense Intelligence Agency, in August 2012 said, and I quote, "There is the possibility of establishing a declared or undeclared Salafist," it's not secret anymore, it was released under FOI. The quote is, "There is the possibility of establishing a declared or undeclared Salafist principality in eastern Syria, and this is exactly what the supporting powers to the opposition want in order to isolate the Syrian regime." The US saw the ISIL caliphate coming and did nothing.
Yeah,
But it all comes after declassified documents were published showing that as early as 2012, US intelligence predicted the rise of Islamic State. The report shows the powers who supported the Syrian opposition, like America, envisioned the creation of an independent principality in eastern Syria and supported it. They also clearly predicted the establishment of Islamic State through its union with other terror organizations in Syria and Iraq.
And I think right now what we have allowed is...
Hold on, you were helping them in 2012.
We've allowed this extremist, these extremist militants to come in.
But why did you allow them to do that, General? You were in post. You were the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency.
Well, those are policy.
I took the liberty of printing out that document.
Yeah.
This is the memo I quoted from. Did you see this document in 2012? Would this come across your table?
Yeah. I paid very close attention to all this.
So when you saw this, did you not pick up a phone and saying, what on earth are we doing supporting these Syrian rebels?
That kind of information is presented, and
what did you do about
I argued about it.
Did you say we shouldn't be supporting these groups?
I did. I mean, we argued about the different groups that were there, and we said, who is it that is involved here?
The meeting in the White House over 2 years ago, everyone in the national security team recommended arming ISIS.
And I will tell you that I do believe that the intelligence was very clear.
Just on what you're saying, just to clarify here, in 2012, your agency was saying, quote, "The Salafists, the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda in Iraq are the major forces driving the insurgency in Syria." Mm-hmm. In 2012, the US was helping coordinate arms transfers to those same groups. Why did you not stop that if you're worried about the rise of quote-unquote Islamic extremism?
I mean, I hate to say it's not my job. I will tell you, it goes before 2012. I mean, when we were in Iraq, and we still had decisions to be made before there was a decision to pull out of Iraq in 2011. I mean, it was very clear what we were going to face.
Well, I admire your frankness on this subject.
Very clear what we were going to face.
Let me just, before we move on, just to clarify once more, you are basically saying that even in government at the time, you knew those groups were around, you saw this analysis, and you were arguing against it, but who wasn't listening?
I think the administration.
The administration turned a blind eye to your analysis.
I don't know if they turned a blind eye. I think it was a decision. I think it was a willful decision.
A willful decision to go support an insurgency that had Salafists, Al-Qaeda, and the Muslim Brotherhood.
A willful decision to do what they're doing, which you'd have to really ask the president, what is it that he actually is doing?
And on top of that, I am concerned about this report about Syrian rebels and the ceasefire with ISIS. Senator Paul,
that's not true.
Well,
it's not true.
It's not true.
Whether I don't care about the report. I know these people intimately. We talk to them all the time.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
And during the Syrian uprising, Washington largely supported the opposition. One of its leaders, Abdul Jabbar al-Qaeda, is a commander of the Free Syrian Army. He has links to Islamic State and has praised the militants in the recent past.
هي علاقتك مع دولة الإسلام في العراق والشام؟
جيدة. أنا علاقتي مع الأخوة في دولة العراق والشام بالتأكيد تواصل شبه يومي أنا والأخوة في دولة العراق والشام لحل هذه الخلافات وحل هذه المشاكل.
Let's show you the former U.S. ambassador to Syria, Robert Ford. They're posing with Al-Qaeda as recently as May 2013.
I know these people. I'm in contact with them all the time.
And here's the thing. We've been funding people who are allied with ISIS. ISIS is stronger because we've been funding Islamic rebels in Syria.
I mean, I hate to say it's not my job.
Either you're with us or you're with the enemy.
The administration turned a blind eye to your analysis.
I don't know if they turned a blind eye. I think it was a decision. I think it was a willful decision.
But the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces.
I mean, let's remember here, the people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago.
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan. And we were successful.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Do you know any major Arab ally that embraces ISIL?
I know major Arab allies who fund them.
The administration turned a blind eye to your analysis.
I don't know if they turned a blind eye. I think it was a decision. I think it was a willful decision.
هناك حديث كثير وطويل وجدال حول مسألة السلاح النوعي. وأن الدول تمتنع أن تزويد الجيش الحر بسلاح نوعي مضاد للطائرات ونوعي هل يمكن تحديد؟
العمسام.
طيب العمسام ما هو غرضه من ذلك برأيكم؟
الغرض أنا إذا أردت أن أتكلم بصراحة أرى ليس هناك من نتيجة لهذا العمل سوى تدمير البلد وأن نبقى 50 عام غير قادرين على بناء بلدنا.
لماذا يريدون تدمير البلد؟ هل هم حاقدون على السوريين لأنهم سوريين مثلا ولا؟
لا يعني لو تحدثنا بصراحة أكثر. طيب خيارات المجتمع الدولي تجاه الثورة السورية إما أن يجدوا فصيل يضمن الحدود مع إسرائيل وهذا لن يجدوه فينتقلون إلى الخيار الآخر ما هو أن تدمر هذه البلد ل50 عام آخر.
Президент Обама упомянул об одной из угроз – это ИГИЛ. Ну а кто помогал вооружать людей, которые в Сирии боролись с Асадом-то? Вооружились, им платят определенную сумму. Мне даже называли эти суммы. Они захватили месторождения нефтяные, там, скажем, где-то в Ираке или в Сирии. Нефть начали добывать. У них эту нефть покупают, транспортируют, продают. Почему санкции не накладывают на всех, кто это делает? А что, разве Соединенные Штаты не знают, кто это делает? Это разве не их союзники этим занимаются? У них что, нет силы, возможности повлиять на своих союзников? Или они не хотят влиять? Об этом подумать чуть-чуть пораньше.
The book title is Every Spy a Prince, The Complete History of Israel's Intelligence Community.
You tell the story about how you tried to find out what they call the Mossad when they deal with publicly?
I thought it was a reasonable question, but we thought we should ask, what shall we call it in English? You can translate the Hebrew words, as I said, Mossad is institute, but when they write a letter to their friends in the CIA or the British intelligence, what do they call themselves? It took a while. It was a matter of asking the Prime Minister's spokesman. The best you could do, because officially the Mossad is under the Prime Minister's office. And I think he sort of wondered why you want to know and all that, so we explained. And he came up with the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. I mean, if it were to have initials, it would be ISIS.
A Syrian opposition leader has hailed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for expressing support for insurgents wounded during the conflict in Syria. Mohammad Badia said the Syrian opposition is grateful to Netanyahu for his Thursday's visit to a field hospital in the occupied Golan Heights. Israeli doctors are treating Syrians, including anti-government militants there. The Turkey-based leader added that Netanyahu's visit sent an important message. During the visit, Israeli Premier said that giving medical care to Syrians shows the true face of Israel.
Any nation that continues to harbor or support terrorism will be regarded by the United States as a hostile regime.
The US has been sharing unfiltered intelligence with Israel, including the private data of American citizens, according to a confidential document that was part of whistleblower Edward Snowden's leaks. It shows that Washington set no limits as to how its ally could use the information. RT's Paula Sleer joins me live from Tel Aviv. Paula, tell us more about what's in this leak.
What we're talking about here is a top-secret 5-page memorandum of understanding that lays out all the details of intelligence sharing between the NSA and its Israeli counterpart. What it does reveal is that the NSA routinely shared raw intelligence with Israel. It states that Israel is allowed to receive raw intelligence signal. It includes unevaluated and unminimized transcripts, gist, faxes, telex, voice and digital network intelligence, metadata and content. And that is a quote. At the same time, the agreement places no legally binding limits on the use of the data by the Israelis.
You'd have to really ask the president, what is it that he actually is doing?
Paula, has there been any reaction from the NSA over these revelations?
There was a statement that they did release, and in that statement they said, and again I'm quoting, "We are not going to comment on any specific information sharing arrangements. The fact that intelligence services work together mutually strengthens the security of both nations."
Well, ultimately, what the U.S. intends to do, I believe, is to create more chaos in that part of the world as a way, ultimately, to expand Israel's, to make greater Israel, as they call it, to expand Israel's territorial claims. I think, number one, that's very fundamentally what's behind all of this. And at the same time, all of this benefits the weapons, the weapons makers, the military-industrial complex. We keep hearing from our mainstream media in the U.S. that this thing is going to take years. So they're really preparing the American people for a very long effort.
Willful decision to do what they're doing,
You stand with Israel.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.